lager thing. We were the guys that actually watched television when television had doors. We had dinner last night and we were chatting a little bit about sort of, you know, the way the world's going and can we keep up with it and everything. And it's very strange to me to be having a conversation with you on a Friday morning, because I used to have rows with you on a Monday morning. We were both, in the days of old ITV, when it was a monopoly, and it was great when it was a monopoly, we actually used to meet. There were 5 directors of programmes of the major companies, and we used to meet on a Monday morning and experience death by 1,000 cuts as we tried to sort of argue that my wretched drama called The Bretts should go out at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night and Greg's rotten sitcom should go out at 7:30 on a Friday night. It was great fun. It was far more fun with Greg than it was with his predecessor, John Burt.
You've got a question?
Yeah, I've got a question. I thought we were in conversation.
Sounds like a
I'm just not letting you in yet. Yeah, I've got a question.
I mean, I came on the train all the way.
No. I've got a question for you. Hillary Clinton or Obama?
Obama.
Why?
Because it's exciting, interesting, new, and could be something special, whereas we know what Hillary Clinton's going to be. Might not be, but it could be.
What does that mean about you as opposed to him? I mean, does that mean you're sort of led by visionaries, people who want to change things, or do you just fancy him?
Well, I'm not sure I see politicians as leaders anymore, but I think we've just lived. I mean, you know, the last few years have been very good news for President Harding, because President Harding has always been seen as the worst ever president of the United States, and then along came George W. Bush, so Harding has gone one up the list, really. We've just lived through the most dreadful 8 years.
Now I'm going to push you.
And therefore, and what I'm saying, therefore, what you want. I mean, America as a country, you look at it from outside, looks. I mean, when I go to America now, Americans always ask you about how do people think about us, because they've suddenly realised that we think anyone can elect George W. Bush twice is deeply suspect. And we are living through a time when the Americans are very unnerved, and where the world wants to be excited by leadership, and you got nobody. And then Obama comes along out of nowhere. You know, a black guy, his chances, and yet you look at the polls this week, he's 8 points ahead of McCain. You know, who's the only person who's older than you.
All right. On that witty riposte, Gordon Brown or Tony Blair?
Well, at least Gordon Brown is honest. I know what he is. He's a doer, sort of old grumpy Scot. Whereas Tony Blair was just an actor, really. Just an actor. Very good, but...
You loved him, though, didn't you? You gave him 50 grand.
No, I've been in... Yeah, I did, actually. Not him personally. No, I've been in the Labour Party for many, many years, which I'm not any longer, not a supporter. But I've been in the Labour Party for many, many years, and I'm afraid I felt like many of us did in the Labour Party, is that we wanted to win. And he looked the most likely person to win. And winning, what we discovered, wasn't enough if actually what you're doing is electing somebody who doesn't believe what you believe.
What I want to ask you about, Greg, is whether you think, in this sort of McLuhan-esque way, that Tony Blair became a master of the media in the way that Gordon has failed so far to become a master of the media, and that we're actually doomed now to have masters of the media as leaders?
Probably. I read Al Gore's book the other day, not the one about climate change, but the one about politics and what's happening. And Al Gore argues that broadcasting fundamentally changed politics, because whereas politics used to be a debate, broadcasting means it's one way. And it's too powerful in the political system. Therefore, you've got to, I suspect you've now got to be able to... I mean, Blair was a genius at it. Blair was one of the great communicators.
But, I mean, you can't put that into reverse, can you?
No.
So
well, you can in the sense that most of the media, the traditional media, is getting less important.
Were you disturbed as I was by somebody kind of bragging that more people voted for Big Brother than voted in the general election?
Yeah, that's one of those great myth stories, I think. Because actually, if you look about it, I mean, my kids who voted in Big Brother must have voted 2,000 times. You know, they just kept voting because they thought an extra vote meant they won. So therefore, let's look at who they were. No, I mean, listen. But what is interesting is that there's, you go back to 97 and Labour's obsession with getting the Sun on side, which meant they mortgaged everything to Murdoch. Actually, you don't need to get the Sun on side anymore. The Sun sells 1 million less copies than it sold in 97. That's 3 million less viewers, and all newspapers are going like that. All news viewing is going like that. So therefore, the importance of all of that is less in the future than it was in the past. There are so many more means of getting information.
You tried to buy ITV.
I did. Glad I did.
Do you think it's capable of being... Do you think it's capable of being saved? And actually, if you want to buy it, it's a good day because the price is rock bottom.
Yeah, it's the lowest price it's ever been. It's at about... Well, we tried to buy it at £1.20p, and the board said it didn't reflect its true value, and today it's 50-something. So...
well, they were right.
That they were. Well, no, I think what ITV, and I think Michael has not been a great success there, but I think what you discover about ITV is it can't be what it was when you and I were there, and that's what they're trying to do with it.
But what would you have done with it, Greg, to turn it round?
I'd have reduced the spend on programming by about £300 million.
And what would we have missed then? What would we have not seen?
Quite a lot, but...
would we have seen any regional news, for example?
For a while.
What, sort of 5 minutes?
No, for a while, I mean, for a few more years yet. But, I mean, in 2012, the world changes when the whole thing's gone digital, when everything is... they turn off the analogue signal. The power of the politicians over ITV will have gone. Therefore, if they want things, after years of using, in our time, using the stick, if you don't do this, we'll take your franchise away. They're going to have to start using the carrot. They're going to have to start. If you want regional news, they pay for it.
Right.
It's going to change.
Would you still like to buy ITV?
I think it can still be turned around, but it has to be turned around. But the decline is very fast now.
How fed up were you when your governors at the BBC did not support you over the Gilligan business? And what view did that make you have about the establishment?
I thought they were... I mean, I always make this joke, but if I'd been here in my time at the BBC, I'd have told you they were fine, upstanding people who properly reflected broadcasting. In fact, they were a bunch of useless bastards.